Capture the passion.
Welcome to our second episode of season 2, Capture the Passion. My name is Jorge Ramirez. I'll be the host. And with me today, I have Mr. Manuel Caldera, the research.
Thank you for calling me the research.
Today's topic, we're going to talk about leadership, mentorship. Help us understand what that means and give us an understanding of what that means to you and how did it all start for you?
Well, that's a good question. I think it started back in my childhood with people mentoring me. Growing up, there was a lot of people in my life that always had a positive thing to say or pointed out things that I did well, and I always appreciated that. But I started coaching young kids as young as 12. My brother and he was 15, I was 12. I mean, mentoring comes in all shapes and forms. Mentoring is like teaching, it's advising, it's listening, it's challenging, it's questioning people. So at a very young age, and I don't know, my mom used to say I talk so a lot, she used to call me perico. But anyways, well, I think people can still call me that. But anyways, stop me if I'm talking too much. But anyway, so it started very young, and then a lot of mentors around me because of coaching so young, and being around older men, park leaders, other coaches. They didn't care too much for us because we were very young. And the first 2 years we flopped, but after that we took 4 championships in a row because we discovered something, and it was about fundamentals. And it was starting from there and teaching the kids that no one wanted, that people didn't think were going to be good ball players, but yet we saw something in these kids. And so at the same time my brother's mentoring me, we were mentoring these kids in a sense. Mm-hmm. We were giving them the hope that they could play this game. And anyways, that led on to many years of coaching, but that led into me thinking of teaching. I always knew I wanted to teach. I didn't know what level. I figured I got to go where the sports were at, so I figured high school. No, really, I'm serious. I mean, like I said, I played a lot of sports, So anyways, it's interesting that how mentoring, people came in and out of my life. When I lost my father, there was a park director who took us under his wing, taught us how to sail, how to camp. I mean, growing up in East LA, you don't get those opportunities often. And we did. And it opened my eyes to a whole other world.
So let's talk about your upbringings in East LA.
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you to envision yourself into saying, you know what, given the way the community was, gang violence, drugs, not necessarily the best role models within the community, but what made you realize that despite of where I'm at, I can make something out of my life? I mean, you already had the experience of working with other people,
Yep.
mentoring them, maybe not necessarily that you knew about it at that time, but in reflection, you realized that that's what you were doing.
Well, like I talked about coaching, we started coaching also at an early age, and we coached with the sheriff's department when I got older. That led me to kind of work with gang members. That was interesting, and we worked with the young youth, and we were role models in the community. My brother became the park director when he got older. I was one of the youth assistants there. I became a coach. I continued to coach until I was, to be truthful, until I became an administrator. But I always known I wanted to teach because I wanted to coach.
So what I continue to hear is you were taking people that not necessarily had the sense of belonging somewhere, those kids that didn't want to, other teams didn't want to pick them, the gang members that necessarily wanted that sense of belonging. So you're getting this experience,
Yes.
right, of working with people that aren't necessarily receptive to working with other people. How did that shape you with your career as a teacher?
Well, number one, it taught me how to work with community and the people in the community. Because in leadership and mentorship roles, first of all, you have to have the respect for the people. Otherwise, who's going to listen to you? And I've always been firmly believe you better know your stuff. You better be able to back up what you talk about, and that I never feared that. I love people challenge me. But like you're saying, growing up, I had a lot of positivity around me. I lived across the street from a park, gangs all around me. Now, don't get me wrong, I got involved in some ways and got out right away. And this is what taught me that the things we say to young people make a big difference, because my father always put words in my mind. Number one, you better never get in the gang. better not ever catch you writing on the wall. Those types of things.
Right.
And whatever you become the best at. I don't care if you're picking up trash, you be the best at picking up trash. And don't ever forget to help others.
Having the sense of
So
empowerment.
My first mentor was my dad.
And he gave you that empowerment. He made you believe in yourself. He put it on you to make sure that whatever it is, you have to be the best at it. Yeah. Would you say that you took that with you throughout your career?
Definitely. But not just that. Other people would make remarks to me like, "Don't be a quitter. No one likes a quitter." So those things stuck with me. But as I grew up, like you said, in East LA, you're attracting a lot of people towards you. Get in our gang, do this, do that. But sports kept me out of it. Mm-hmm. Schooling kept me out of it. People in school. When I came out of high school and I went to junior college, I went there to play ball. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wasn't ready to go to big 4-year college. I didn't feel ready, even though I was in AP classes. But I was mentoring all along, my friends, people in school. I just always felt that urge to help others and talk to others and be there for them. So anyways, as I moved through my junior college, the funny thing is I was going to be a business major. Took one business class, no way. Then I said, there's no way I'm going there. But then I said PE, so I started taking all my sciences. I was ready to get my AA and that field. And I said, I need an elective. And I took a child development class. And little did I know that was going to be like it. It opened my eyes. I enjoyed it.
What was it that hit for you when you took that?
It was
class?
Child Development 1, and they talk about from, inception all the way to age 18. How do you develop? What takes place, I mean, it gets very technical, which most people don't care for that course, but I loved it. But it made me think about my own childhood, because I had memories going back to when I was very young, very young. And I started analyzing my own self and thinking, okay, this is the reason I'm this way, travieso, no. But as my mom would say, I was always very active. Like I said, always going here and there and doing things. But yeah, I really got an interest in it. And then talk about mentorship. Here comes my instructor and pulls me over and says, Manuel, you really got a good understanding of this field. I said, thank you. So I decided to take another class. Same thing happened to me. Mm-hmm. You really have a good eye in observing children. Thank you. And one day I'm in class and someone comes to talk to us, and it's someone from the field of early education. And I land up that afternoon because I find out there's a children's center right next to my house. And I get hired that day, and my career began then. Mm. And that was interesting.
Taking 2 classes. Is it?
But I had already taken all my generals because
you were majoring in something else.
Yeah, and also, excuse me. I think you're asking how I got through this. And growing up in East LA, I learned about the community. I learned to stay away. I did get involved slightly with gangs and got right out because in my mind, I always knew my dad would kill me if he knew I did something like that. Yeah. He would have been there. What are you doing? But anyways, put a P on my forehead. But anyway, so, but yeah, so it started way back when. But as I moved up the ladder, as I got into the field of child development, I was still going to school. I had transferred to Cal State LA. I got my AA. I was very happy with that, but I said I got to go on because when I stopped playing football, I try to put all that energy into my academics, As I tell young people who play sports, take those lessons and use it in life.
Yeah.
Don't forget about what you did. You worked hard. You sacrificed. You committed. You dedicated. You could do that with education.
Right.
Don't have a P on your forehead for pendejo, because what happens when kids get older or people get older is like, I should have went to school.
Yeah.
So anyways, I knew that was my way out. I knew I didn't want to work manually very hard with my hands. I had the jobs in the warehouse and Sears, and I worked at Zodi's, if anyone remembers that place. I did those mediocre jobs, and it wasn't for me. I said, I'm staying in school. Because in school, it gives you a whole different perspective, and then it allows you to select what you want to do,
Right.
not what you fall into.
Right. So when you transferred into Cal State LA, you already had an idea of what direction you wanted your career to go.
Yes, I was looking at elementary education.
Elementary education.
But I had majored in child development because I really feel that anyone going into elementary education should really take child development. Mm-hmm. That's just my recommendation. I've always said that.
Yeah, you did.
But anyways, I was going to go into elementary education, but I continued to take child development, and at the same time with an option in elementary education.
Right.
But when I was working at this one school, my supervisor called me in and said, we want you to come and teach. I said, I'm not ready to teach. I haven't graduated. I want to finish school. And she goes, no, I think you'll make a good teacher now. So I started teaching. It's long-term sub, but it was like a whole year, straight through. And I was having a ball doing it. I always just tell people, they pay me to do this. I mean, sincerely, working with kids is just a joy because I learn as much from them as they do from me.
Right.
I think, kids, like I used to tell people, working with kids, if you don't have a laugh or a smile on your face that day, something's wrong. You're in the wrong field.
So by this point, you're already at Cal State LA. They're offering you to lead a classroom.
I started as a 3-hour assistant.
Moving your way up. And from what I hear, so you already had your brother, and you had administrators, and you had professors, 3 different roles that are telling you have a knack for leading. Not necessarily they told you directly, but as you reflect on it, that's what they're telling you, right? You have this knack for leading. At that point, was it evident that you wanted to be leadership to be a mentor, or was it more like, no, I think I'm just going to continue with my teaching?
What was interesting is that the program I was in, they were looking for teachers to apply to become administrators. But I didn't have any interest at the time because I was still in school. I wanted to finish. I wanted to complete my academics. And I got a phone call. They called me downtown. I said, well, what did I do wrong? I had to go to the main office. And anyway, so I got down there, and there were 2 people I looked up to, I respected, and they said, Mr. Caldera, we never received your application to enter this administration program, I said, I didn't apply. And they said, why not? And I said, well, I want to finish my schooling, and, I want to become an elementary teacher, and well, we see something in you. And when I heard that from them, because now these are 2 people I respect, they've always liked my way of teaching, and when they told me that, I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I got into administration and early education. And it was a thrill.
So now you have more people seeing that leadership skills that you have, that you possessed, and want you to be in a position to be an effective leader for a whole division.
Right.
Did you take that lightly?
Did I take it lightly? Not at all. I took it very seriously. Anytime anyone gave me an opportunity, I took it as a very serious situation. Anytime I'm in a leadership position, period, I do believe in helping others. That's the thing. When you become someone like that, little by little, you learn to help others, I've always thought about how people helped me, how people encouraged me, how people gave me opportunities. And as I moved up the ladder, as I became a teacher, as I became an administrator, as I became an administrator of administrators, that was very critical to me to make sure that I was giving other people opportunities also. If I saw someone, because a lot of times people feel they don't have what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see someone that you feel they have, you want to mentor them, you want to give them that advice, you want to ask them questions. I'm more the type of person to ask questions to get a feel for where people are at, if they even have an interest.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the people that I saw I thought would be good administrators didn't care to go into it because it is a tough position.
In your perspective, what do you think are some skills, qualities, characteristics that someone needs to have for them to be in leadership?
Well, this is my thoughts on leadership. A lot of people may not agree with me, but leadership is, first of all, it's a privilege, in my opinion. And when you get it, a lot of people get into leadership roles and they think, got the chair, got the title. It's not about that, not in my opinion, at least. My opinion has always been to get in there to mentor, to help people. I always felt I had a high efficacy level. I believed I could make change. And I think that's important, people. That you have to, because it takes work, it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes dedication. And a lot of people, I don't think, are so willing to put that effort in sometimes. It's a lot of work, but it's enjoyable. It's like working with children when you get that child that no one wants to work with and you find a way to break through that child and all of a sudden everyone's like, what happened to Johnny? He knows what's happening. He's quote normal or under control. Well, when you're working with people, it's kind of the same way, It really is. I mean,
That's part of our conversation all the time, right?
all the time.
Working with adults.
Yeah, there's certain. I was very fortunate moving up the ranks. I got to go to a lot of different trainings. One of the training was like on ageism. What is it to work with different people of different age groups? When do they need a lot of praise? When don't they? That type of thing. I found it very intriguing because when you go back to your schools or wherever you work, you look at the different ages, it's like there it is right in front of you.
Yeah.
The thing is to pay attention, listen to people. You asked about leadership. Leadership's about collaborating. It's about listening to people. It's about supporting people. And I don't mean just supporting in words. I mean, if I expect anyone to do something around me, I'm going to do the same thing. If they're pushing a broom, I'm going to push a broom.
Right.
I have this saying. Someone gave me a saying. It was by John Lewis, but I'm paraphrasing. But basically, it's saying a title, a chair, doesn't make you a leader. What makes you a leader is someone who stands next to you.
Mm-hmm.
And marches with you, and works with you. And I like to think that's the type of leader I am.
Building that relationship is beyond, I'm going to tell you what to do, and how to do it. It's more of, I'm going to stand with you to get through this.
Well, like I used to say, if you need help, I'm here. I will be out there. I will assist you. I will show you what I'm asking for. It's just like children again, Clean your room. Child cleans the room. I said, you call this clean? Mom and dad are all upset. Did they ever take the time to show them how to clean that room? What the expectation was? And they're yelling at this kid, to that child, hey, this is clean. I put my shoes over here. That's good enough.
Right? To communicate, to help you see what my expectations are. And clearly.
So you role model.
Transparency is important.
Transparency, definitely.
Right.
I never feared that.
I'm a teacher in one of your schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you as, he's the boss. I'm dealing with a lot. I'm coming to work exhausted and I feel that I'm not good enough. That whole imposter syndrome is really dawning on me.
Imposter syndrome?
I feel like if I don't belong.
Oh, okay. As a
teacher.
As a teacher.
And I don't want to come and ask you for help because I have you way up here. You know the research, you talk the research, you're showing me this amazing administrator with all this knowledge, but how do I approach you? How can you get through to me to show me that you are going to be there to support me?
Well, I think what people could count on me for is that I'll be in your classroom. I will observe you. I will ask you questions.
Not just when people complain.
No, not at all. Well, that's the thing, you know. First of all, I enjoy classrooms. I mean, that's where it's at, you know. First of all, I have to go say good morning to children or the students or whoever. That's just who I am, and to the staff. But I would feel disappointed with, and I guess I have had that case where people hesitated to come and speak to me. But I really try inside, like I said, to be collaborative, especially to listen. You know, I do like to hold staff meetings, you know, where I get to hear or dialogue. I used to call them dialogue sessions where I get my teachers and, you know, ask questions and about their practice or what I expected to see or what have you, or hear whatever they had to say and listen to that attentively and respectfully. The thing is when you're talking with teachers, you're assessing.
Mhm.
When they're speaking to you and they're saying things to you, for me, I'm assessing exactly where their knowledge level's at, what is it that they're thinking, where their philosophy may be, or some of the theories they're following. I like to, I'm able to see that when I
But
work
that
with
that sounds
people.
like what teachers do with students, right?
Right.
I'm seeing Manuel think this way. I see Eric. I see Jorgito over here. I'm trying to figure out how can I build that relationship with them so they can be successful. That's what you do with teachers,
Yes,
or
I do.
did.
Absolutely. You know, the same thing, you know. And the thing is to, you know, point out what is right, just like you do with children, you know. We're quick to point out negative things with kids or with students, and we'll do the same thing with teachers. You got to catch what they could do, what they're doing good, and then build on that, you know, and build on. Like I always tell teachers, what are your interests? Bring it to the classroom. Make it natural for you. That's what I did as a teacher. I mean, like I said, I played a lot of sports. I did a lot of different activities. I brought that to the classroom. And then I started realizing that children want to learn about certain things. And when you get them to learn those things, if it's their interest, you got them where you want them. Now you bring in the academics, the writing, the grammar, the syntax, the semantics, the this, the that, all integrated. Same thing with adults. You know, give them the green light. Show me what you have. Give me a rationale. Show me how it works. If it works, I'll give you the
But
green light.
I'm sure you realize you've been doing this your whole life,
Yes.
right? Since the very first time that you started coaching and you're modeling for other people, you're showing them, you're bringing in what their capacities are.
Hmm.
And I think that that's one of the things that students struggle is how okay, so you tell me you believe in me, right? You're telling me that I'm good, you're helping me, you're guiding me, but how can I internalize that and to say, you know what? Okay, I not only do I hear it from you, but I also feel it because a lot of the times the disconnection between, and we're going to use the classroom as an example, the disconnection between administrators and teachers, or even students and teachers, is that again I see you very different. How can I internalize what you're telling me and then be able to apply it? So even to my work, to my self efficacy, to my self esteem? How can I make sure that I'm not just listening to you, but I'm hearing what you're telling me?
Well, I think it's my job as the leader is to observe that or to look at what it is that you're doing, but to question. Again, I think I know that I learn well when I could get into a dialogue with others
Mhm.
because it either validates what I'm doing or it challenges what I'm doing. But that conversation is important to get to what's best for the student. And the same thing happens with adults. You know, I listen, you know, staff members, like I always had open door policy, that's for sure, you know. So they would come and talk to me, and I would I would just do my best to make people feel welcome, number one, and then point out what's best about them. Um, and when I would, let's say I'm walking through a classroom, you talk about mentorship, I don't want to go say your class, look at this or look at that, but I'll give an example. I would say to a teacher, come stand with me. And they're like, what's wrong, Mr. Caldera? And I said, just look at your classroom. Uh-huh. I said, what do you see? What do you mean, what do I see? I said, tell me what you see. I don't know. And I said, well, look at that table. Yes. I said, what do you see? Some blocks. "Oh, what else do you see? Table. What else? Chairs. What else? That's it. I said, exactly. So why is that on the table? In other words, there's no kids at the table. Observe, open your eyes. But I don't want to tell them, look at no kids.
Right.
Try to get people to see it for themselves, because I think when they have dialogue, they realize themselves what the best practices or how they could improve themselves.
Right.
And I can validate it. And if we're working together well, and if I can build that rapport with my staff, then I think we could have that type of dialogue. But it's important to build the rapport and trust. Not just say, I'm going to support you. I think I can say honestly that I would get out there and try and help out or do what I had to do, no matter what area of work it was. And mentoring to me is just that, is role modeling. It's so important, not just talking the talk.
Yeah,
So.
I remember an experience with you, having that conversation with you. And at first, when you called me, come stand with me, it was the nerves, it was that doubt, that imposter syndrome in me. Do I really belong here? Am I really worthy to be under your not just leadership but mentor? Okay. And then I remember those questions, and I remember standing there and giving you answers, and I remember justifying my response to you.
Right.
As we then talked about it after, one of the things that has stuck with me that you said to me was, you have a good understanding into what you're doing. And then you said to me, I don't have to agree with you, but if it makes sense and it works, why not? And I think one of the issues with a lot of leadership is not given that opportunity to do it what works for me. Hey, I see the end result and I get it. We're going to get there. It's just that I'm going to take a different route, and that's okay. And from what I hear you say is that's worked with you throughout your career, and that has helped people to get that self-efficacy and that self-esteem and to feel good about what they're doing, because that builds on that relationship and that respect.
You made the comment earlier about research. I know it's a joke between us, but because of my experience, I've seen what works with kids, and I try to share that. I wouldn't share something that didn't work or didn't, have some, like got 3 rules with kids: be consistent, be firm, but yet loving, when you're trying to work with the child. Build that rapport. Same thing with staff. They need to be recognized. Staff doesn't hear it enough, but they also need to hear the truth when they're not doing what's there.
Right.
And then you're seeing like, but it's important how you say it, I think, to a person, not to demean them, but to be helpful, to be supportive, and to give them a better way, or let's have this discussion. Like you said, I think that's what makes people feel comfortable, and we're able to come to me, and then I can mentor.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, there was teachers that say, well, you never talk to me, and I said, well, doors open. I told you, just come on in,
Yeah, and I do remember that many times in our conversation.
I mean, when you hold a position like that, as the supervisor of a center or whatever, yeah, I guess you're seen that way. I didn't feel that way. I just felt like I was part of the team. And I know I was the leader of the team, but if I fail, we all fail.
Right.
If you guys fail, I fail. And I don't like to fail.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
and I don't like to quit. And that's why I think that efficacy part, I mean, I had good experiences at every place I had. I'm not here to boast. I'm just saying that they were good experiences. Communities came together and did some good things, and I was very proud of that. You know.
So in our first
And
first,
to mentor new administrators.
that's something that's needed.
Yeah.
In our first podcast, I asked our guest what leadership was to her. I'm going to ask you now, being our second show, what does it take for a mentee to feel empowered? So you're my mentor. What what advice would you give me to be receptive, to be able to continue to have a successful career, and then eventually get to your point and be retired and well off? How I'm your mentee. Talk to me as a mentee. What do I need to do to have a successful career?
Well, I think stay true to who you are and to the field that you work in. I think too many people take it for granted, And my recommendation is just, don't give in to do the work that you believe in and do it well and be prepared to give the rationale why you do what you do. I mean, now, it doesn't work in all settings. A lot of people say, no, this is the way we want it done, or this is, that's a different story. So it all depends on your setting. But for myself, to help people, and what I recommend is to go for it. Stick to your guns. Stay true to the students you're working with. Don't fall into that hole. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes you get into a field and you see other people not doing as much, and it's like, well, if they're not doing it, I'm not doing it. And that's not good for kids. So I come from the area of early childhood education, and we need people out there that are going to be with the kids, that are going to do what's best for those kids, and treat them, in a way that is respectful. Children are people, that's one thing I learned in my Montessori background also, is that you must respect children.
Right.
And as adults, we should not demand respect, we should earn it from them also. Yeah. And the same thing with staff. I'll respect you, you respect me. And I'll be there for you, and we're a team, and that's what I always try to create, team. And I try to always make people feel welcomed and supported. Yeah. By allowing them to try new things, by, follow curriculum. If we're working with the curriculum, yeah, work it, but throw in what you need to do there to make it work. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for this great conversation about empowerment, mentorship, leadership.
Well, I hope I answered your questions. I mean, it's an area that I'm so passionate about, but there's so much I can say and talk about, but I don't know if I hit on it or not. But
you sure did. We feel your passion. Your passion.
It's all about being a team player and being a good leader. Like my dad always said, if you're going to be a leader, be a good one. If you're going to follow someone, follow a good leader. Yeah, and that's what I believe in.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manuel Caldera, for your time. We'll see you guys next time.
Capture the passion.